It's not a popular message because no one likes the idea of submitting their will to someone else or to God, because I want to be in control. I know what's best, and I feel best when I'm in control. And yet there seems a way that's right to a man, but it always ends in death. Let me give to you a bit of an illustration. You need to stretch your imagination here with me a little bit. Week number 1. Young, handsome man, beautiful wife, get married, and they're just happy as Larry. They're just so in love, and they're so content. Week number 2, husband gets a bit of a pay rise. He does some extra work. There's an extra $400 sitting there in his bank account, and he thinks to himself, oh, I can go and buy that little electronic toy I've wanted all my life. Wife comes over and says, husband, you know, I've really wanted a sewing machine so I can make our own clothes and design things. That money would just be enough. Husband loves his wife. Ah, dear, I just want to help you out. No worries, here's the money. Go and buy the best sewing machine you can. Week number 3, it's the footy grand final. Husband's sitting back on the lounge, feet up. He's got his corn chips there. He's got the TV on. And he's just relaxing, waiting for it to start. Wife comes in. Hey, they've got a 2-hour special in the store down there where we can buy curtains. And I know the ones that we want, but I need you to come along just to double check we got them. Curtains for the house? No worries. Don't worry about the footy. I'm coming with you. I told you you have to stretch your imagination a little bit. But he's so in love. I'll do anything for my wife. Why? Because he feels the best when he's serving his wife and helping her. He just loves her. Week number 4. Really hard day at the office, really tired. Wife has during the day been watching some health programs. Husband comes home and sits down and has his big mug there and fills it with coffee. Wife looks over at husband. Do you know that coffee will kill you? Really? Yeah, I know you drink about 4 cups a day. Really? I watched a really good episode on a health program says that it's not good for you. Well, in that case, I want to live with you as long as I can. I'm throwing the coffee out. He loves his wife. Week number 5, they're off on a second honeymoon. Do you reckon that's a happy marriage? Yeah, it's a beautiful marriage. He loves her so much that he's willing to listen to her and want to do the things to help her. Okay, second scenario. Husband, beautiful wife. Week 1, get married. They're really happy. Husband gets an extra $400 because he put his $1 lottery ticket in and got $400 back. Wife comes up and says, I can use that to buy a sewing machine. Husband looks at her. What do you want a sewing machine for? To sew clothes. Well, if you want a sewing machine, get a job and buy your own. Week 2, it's the football grand final. Sitting back, relaxed in his chair, corn chips there, and his 2 favourite teams are playing. Wife comes in, says, hey, I can't believe that they got an incredible special down at the curtain shop where you can get 50% off and get the curtains we really want. I need you to come along so we can pick the right ones. Woman, do you know what I'm doing now? No. I'm watching the grand final. It only happens for 2 hours in the whole year, and you're coming right at this moment to interrupt me? Week 3, really hard day at the office. Husband comes home really tired, plonks himself down the table where there's a bit of food there that his wife has made for him, gets the big coffee cup and just fills his mug up and starts drinking it. Wife looks at him and says nothing. Week 4, they're separated. Isn't it interesting? In the happy marriage, the man gave up his rights. The things he loved the most: coffee, money, and football. It's true in Australia, isn't it? Because he loved his wife. But yet, if you went to him and said to him, hey, I don't notice you drinking coffee anymore. No, my wife told me it's bad for me. You listen to your wife? Come on, you need it. Otherwise, you're just going to break down. Or you say to him, hey, wasn't that football grand final great? Oh, I didn't watch it. I went and bought some curtains. You what? Yeah, my wife wanted me to buy curtains with her. What are you doing? It's your fundamental right as a man to watch the TV. I love my wife so much. We think that person is crazy, don't we? And yet deep in our heart we know that his marriage is a marriage that will last, because he obviously loves his wife dearly and his wife loves him dearly. I could go on with the illustration. Week 1, man gets baptized in church. He's in love with Jesus. He's met Jesus. Jesus has forgiven him of all his sins, all his past. He's a brand new man. He is in love with Jesus. Week 2, he has an extra paycheck come in, extra $400, and he thinks, oh, I can go and buy that little toy of mine. And God impresses him and says, I want you to give it to the neighbor who's really poor. No problems, Lord. Thank you for giving me that idea. I didn't really need that little gadget anyway. Here, have the money. Week 3, I'm running out. He's sitting in front, ready to watch some football. Then God says, why don't you go to church? They're having a prayer meeting. Oh, I almost forgot. Thank you for reminding me, God. Football is, I'd rather spend time with God's people praying to you and talking to you. Fantastic. I'm going to turn that machine off and I'm going. Sitting down, he's drinking his coffee and reading the Bible at the same time and a health magazine, and he realizes all of a sudden, and God's impressing him, that stuff will eventually kill you. It's not good for you. Well, for God, if you don't want me to drink it, you'll give me the strength to try something else. I'll just have water now. Why is this? That when someone, a Christian, is in love with God and does so much, we call him a legalist. Why is it? And someone who is very much in love with his wife says that she's got him under his thumb. If you're in love with Jesus, it's just natural that you will want to die to self. Because you understand the concept that God made you, that God knows what's best for you, that God has planned a life for you that is so much more interesting, exciting, fulfilling than you can ever dream of. So you would rather let God sit in the driver's seat and drive away and enjoy the life that God has for you, even if it means that you don't do the things that you would naturally want to do. That's the kind of life I want you to try and understand, because it is the only life that will really work. We need to die to self if we want to live powerfully with Christ. I want you to look at these verses here, and you don't need to understand too much about what's going on in these verses, but I want you to see how often the word death, dying with Christ, appears in these verses. In Romans chapter 6 and verse 3 onwards, and I know many of you will understand it, but sometimes it can be a little bit hard to understand. Verse 3, or do you not know? Because what I want to show is that this isn't a concept that is just found in one part of the Bible. It's right through it. To live for God, you have to die to self, because if you live for self, you can't live for God. Here it is, Romans chapter 6, verse 3. Or do you not know that as many of us as were baptized into Christ Jesus were baptized into his death? Therefore we were buried with him through baptism into